Hello viewers, and welcome to a brand new episode of Trashtalk on Fabula Ultima, a series where I talk about the various classes you can mix together to create your desired heroic characters in your Fabula Ultima campaign. In today's episode, Darkblade. Darkblade, Avenger, Black Knight, Death Knight. Darkblades are powerful warriors that hide a sorrowful past, enough that their souls develop an affinity for pain and shadow energy. In summary, everyone's OC in their edgy teenage era, at least for those that manage to actually grow out of it. In terms of mechanic, Darkblade is a fighter class that's all about taking revenge at those that wronged them and dishing out painful blow even if they have to sacrifice their body in the process. You could probably reword Darkblade as Berserker, but frankly, there's another class that's more fitting for it. As for the free benefits, there's two. First, a permanent increase of HP by 5, and ability to equip martial melee weapon and martial armor. What is martial equipment? Basically any equipment with a star symbol. Both martial weapon and armor generally have better raw stats than their standard counterpart, more damage or more physical defense, though martial armor is less clear-cut as character with high dex can better protect themselves than even wearer with the toughest armor. Darkblade is also one of the two classes in the base rulebook with access to both martial weapon and armor, shield not included, the other being the Fury, so that's another option for people who don't want to have their character burdened by the weight of their sin. Anyway, let's take a look at the Darkblade skill. First, Agony. After you deal damage to a creature, if you have a bond towards at least one of those creatures, you may recover up to 10 HP and 10 MP. As a reminder, bond is an emotion a character has towards a target, admiration, loyalty, and even pure hatred, so you could have a bond of hatred towards a faction and when you hit anyone within said faction, you just gonna get healed up from pure rage. That said, this skill didn't really specify it has to be a negative bond. It works just fine even when you are hitting someone your character is affectionate towards, which has implications. Second, Dark Blood. As long as you are in crisis, you have resistance to dark damage and poison damage. Something I'm born in the dark therefore dark hurts me less. What the fuck are you even saying? At half health, dark and poison damage just hurts you less, which is very useful when fighting against undead, so, that's good I guess. Third, Heart of Darkness. Once per scene upon entering crisis, you may choose a specific creature you can see that you don't have a bond towards. If you do, create a bond of hatred towards it. This skill is essential, not just to chain into agony to keep the Darkblade alive, but also, the bond can be used to improve a check via Fabula points, so if you really want that check to pass while being 1 or 2 points off, you can. Fourth, Painful Lesson. After a creature causes you to lose HP, you may immediately use study action on said creature for free. If you do, gain a bonus equal to skill level to your check. This skill is another useful utility skill. Don't want to waste action on studying, just get your face punched and you will remember it very well. Might also works very well with the Lore Master class somehow. And finally, there's Shadow Strike, where your character learned how to channel your vital force in your attack. You can now spend action to perform Shadow Strike, in which you first roll your might roll and lose that amount of HP. If you didn't immediately drop dead, you can perform a free attack with your weapon. If this attack hits one or more characters, it deals extra damage equal to skill level plus the number you rolled with your might dice. However, all damage dealt by this attack becomes dark and its damage type cannot be changed. In summary, hurt yourself for really big damage, and if you do it right with Agony, you can probably do this every turn without really getting close to dying, but you probably don't want to use this against undead enemies or any enemies with resistance towards dark damage. Though, there's something you might be able to do to mitigate that. After all, your constantly gloomy Dark Knight might not be so gloomy after some character development in your campaign, and you could talk with your GM on flipping the theme around. Now instead of being full of hatred, your Darkblade now kill people with the power of love and also shoot laser from your not Shadow Strike. It's something to think about. After putting 10 levels into Darkblade, it is now considered as master and you can pick a heroic skills for it, and currently, there's 9 Darkblade specific heroic skills, 2 from core rulebook, 1 from high fantasy, 2 from techno fantasy, 2 from natural fantasy, and 2 from the 6th Fabula Ultima bonus supplement. In the core rulebook, first there's adversity. As long as you suffer from 1 or more status effects, you gain +1 bonus to all checks and 2 extra damage for every status effect you suffer from. In summary, pain can be good for you, be more in pain. Next there's Heartbreaker. When you hit a creature with an attack, and only that creature, with a bond towards them, you may choose to spend half of your current HP, rounded down, to make the attack deals an extra damage that is 10 times the strength of your bond towards the creature. You may use the skill only on your turn during conflict and only once per turn. Do you want truly big damage? You can now get it by hating the target a lot, and while it can take a while to hone your bond of hatred to a max level of 3, that's plus 30 damage, and you can do it every turn since you only have to spend half of your current HP, whether that's 50 or 2, that's a destructive amount of hate. In high fantasy, there's Pulverizing Strike, which can also be unlocked by Fury and Weapon Master, but it also basically requires the Breach skill, which is a Weapon Master skill. We gonna leave this for future episodes. Coming in Techno Fantasy, there's Dream Slice, which can also be unlocked by Esper, but requires the Shadow Strike skill. When you hit one or more creature with Shadow Strike skill using a sword category weapon, each of those creatures lose MP equal to the number you rolled with your might dice. Also, if you rolled 8 or above with your might dice, you may choose one creature hit by the attack, who is also your focus, an Esper mechanic. Don't need to worry about it for now, or you have a bond towards it. That creature will perform one fewer action next round to a minimum of 0. Your Shadow Strike now hits so hard you make creatures tired of your shit too. You just do more with it, it's good. Next there's Make It or Break It, which can also be unlocked by Fury. When you attack with a weapon, you can declare Make It or Break It before the accuracy check. If you do, the check's high roll, or HR, is doubled when determining damage, and you also apply the following penalties if the result is even. First, if the weapon is a transforming weapon, yes, you can have a transforming weapon in Fabula Ultima, it immediately changes form and cannot transform again until the end of the scene. Second, if the weapon is not a transforming weapon, or is one but cannot transform, it is immediately placed into your backpack and cannot be equipped until the end of the scene, but you can immediately use equipment action for free to wield another weapon if you have any. This heroic skill does not apply to unarmed strikes, improvised weapons, weapon modules on vehicles, or twin shields for Guardian. So, first, despite the name, this heroic skill thankfully do not actually break your weapon, but it does have a 50-50 chance of preventing you from using it again in the same fight, so you will want some kind of backup weapons for this, though it would be incredibly funny if you have like 10 swords in your pocket so you can just keep using this heroic skill with no problem at all. Onwards to Natural Fantasy, there's Brambleheart, which can also be unlocked by Floralist, but it requires the Chloromancy skill from the same class, so we gonna leave this for future episode. Then there's Fitcast, which I just explained last episode, but basically, you can now use Muscle Strength for magic, and since Darkblade also has access to Agony for easy MP regain, suddenly, a magic using Darkblade sounds very terrifying. Finally, in the 6th Fabula Ultima bonus supplement, there's Impaler Dragon, which can also be unlocked by Commander from High Fantasy, but it requires both Charging Cavalry, a Commander skill, and Shadow Strike too. Since this heroic skill has a rather mixed up requirement, let me explain Commander a bit. The Commander is a simple support class. You yell at people to make them do things better and has such a commanding presence you literally change everything on the battlefield from your presence alone. Charging Cavalry is a simple skill. You yell at an ally or NPC to perform an attack for free, with vastly higher hit chance, but lower damage because the HR is reduced to 0. Here's how Impaler Dragon works. When you use Shadow Strike, you may reduce your high roll to 0 when determining damage. If you do this, after the attack is resolved, you can use Charging Cavalry for free, still paying the MP cost. While the damage per attack is lowered, the total damage from both you and ally attack can hurt way more. This could get even worse for your target if either your attack or your ally's one has additional effect beyond just damage. To simply put, you just do more attacks with your allies in one single action with this heroic skill. And lastly, there's Nether Slash, which can be unlocked by Elementalist and Pilot from Techno Fantasy, but requires the Shadow Strike skill. When you use Shadow Strike, you may choose Fire or Ice. If you do, all damage dealt by this attack become that chosen type, and you also gain resistance to the damage you did not choose until the start of your next turn. When you perform a free attack with a melee weapon as a part of Shadow Strike, you can now hit enemies that can only be targeted by ranged attack. Basically, your Shadow Strike can now be not Shadow Strike using different elements, and also, you can now stab flying enemies. Those birds can eat shit, and that's basically it on Darkblade, a vengeful dark warrior that strikes down those that have wronged them. Alternatively, a raging mad person that screams Shadow Strike at every opportunity. That's all for now, and I will see you all next time. Hello there, if you like this video, please subscribe and click that notification bell button. If you want to see the videos early as well as further support my channel, you can join in my Patreon page, or buy me some coffee, links in the description. Anyway, have a nice day.